We are here live in South Beach at the Possible Conference, and today we are thrilled to welcome Terence Reilly, the Chief Brand Officer at Crocs. Terence is one of the most influential brand builders in modern consumer marketing, known for transforming Crocs into a cultural icon and leading the resurgence of Stanley into a must-have global brand. Terence, it's so great to see you today.
Oh, thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
You know, the brands that I just mentioned and the ones that you oversee both have such interesting stories, especially Crocs, which obviously surprised so many people in how it had this resurgence, because if you look back throughout history, so many brands that had a form factor like Crocs does, did kind of come and go. But Crocs seems to have withstood that fad, malaise that so many brands face. Why, if you had to describe it in a couple sentences?
It's incredible product. There's just nothing like Crocs. So when you start with something that's just uniquely original, you're already ahead of the game.
Yeah.
So when you have great product, and I've been fortunate twice, as you mentioned, Crocs and Stanley, both are just fantastic products just to begin with. And then when you have great product, the fans begin to come. And fans know what great product is. And then you build community around them, and it goes and it goes and it goes. So it's really great product and then great fans.
And speaking of just a Crocs brand, we'll get into Stanley as well.
Sure.
But when you talk about the Crocs brand, what is true amongst people who purchase Crocs? And as a part of that, who is your ideal customer profile?
Yeah, they're wonderfully unordinary.
Right.
Like our shoes. And
they don't fit in the cookie cutter demographics.
No, they're just uniquely themselves. And we have Crocs for everyone. And so we also have the opportunity, like no other footwear brand, to express yourself. The shoes themselves are an expression of color, of sport mode or chill mode, whatever mode you want to be in. But then when you add our 26 holes, right? There are 13 holes on each side.
Right.
The opportunity to express yourself and personalize your footwear with gibbets, there's nothing like that.
Yeah.
So you can tell a different story. You can tell 26 different stories on a pair of Crocs. And there's nobody else that does that in footwear or maybe anywhere better than Crocs.
And have you found over time that the use of gibbets have kind of ebbed and flowed, or has that been consistent and part and parcel with the growth of the product itself, the core product?
Yeah, that's a great question. For years, we ignored gibbets. When I was the chief marketing officer, we started to actually, believe this or not, we didn't really even photograph our footwear with gibbets in them. Like, you talk about a myth.
You like that's up to the consumer. This is what we sell.
Yeah.
But you sell the gibbets as well, right?
Oh my gosh, of course. But now, you don't rarely see our shoes photographed without gibbets in them from us. And the gibbets experience is just added to the legend of our brand. And so now gibbets are a huge part of your footwear purchase, your personal expression, and so much more. And then our fans take over, right? It's really about igniting your fan base. And it was our fans that began to call Crocs fully loaded. When you load all 26 holes with gibbets, your Crocs are fully loaded. And that's a fan-based creation. And when you can ignite your fans to help expand your brand, you really have some magic.
Yeah, I think one of the sort of common hallmarks of youth culture and really successfully building a youth brand, and I know Crocs targets people of all ages,
sure,
but sort of this need for people both to feel like it's like a tension between, on one hand, I'm part of a community. I feel a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I'm an individual. I want to stand out. I'm carving my own path moving forward. And I feel like your product, what you just described, is kind of a microcosm of that.
For sure.
You're part of Crocs. Like, oh, you're wearing Crocs. I am. We're different, unique. But I'm doing it differently because my gibbets are different, telling a story about me.
Correct. And it brings attention to yourself, whether you want it or not. Sometimes you do. But you're expressing yourself, your likes, your passions, and you're actually telling your own story through your gibbets. In fact, this was an inspiration for some of our recent storytelling this year, 2026, with our Real Shorts work. We created a actually employee-inspired microdrama where one of our employees, Devin, she noticed a pair of Crocs in her apartment building outside some neighbor's door. And she, like the gibbets fairy, actually just put gibbets in these strangers' Crocs. And she told Carly Gomez, our brilliant CMO, about this, and me. And our brains immediately went to, this is a story.
It sure is.
And so how can we bring even a little bit of romance and mystery?
So every day he walks out and he sees additional gibbets that are added.
Correct.
He's adding these. Oh, wow. I like what they're interested in. You can see.
Yes.
Right.
And now
rom-com thinking.
and we did it. So
Right.
Charmed to Meet You is now nominated for a Shorty Award. We may or may not be making a sequel to it because the love story that we created through gibbets is just another part of the expression that you can only tell with Crocs. So we're bringing real life into fiction, and that wonderful interchange is what consumers are responding to.
And was this a vertical drama, like made for the swipe on and stories?
It's through it's through Real Short. So it's the micro dramas, really short.
Those are really taking
very
off right now.
big time.
Yeah.
So in many ways, Crocs has been the leader in innovating in marketing and product for so long. We were just named the seller of the year on TikTok Shop. So we're where she is. You mentioned youth culture before. So youth female culture. She's on TikTok Shop.
Of course.
She loves Real Shorts, and her favorite brand, Crocs, is right there with her to help really evolve our own storytelling too.
At many companies, a story like that, where you hear it from an employee, it's a cute story and maybe an idea goes off, a light bulb in someone's head. We should bring it to life, but just never goes anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's not lost on me that you're almost saying it matter-of-factly, which makes me think, what is it about your culture, your people, that enables you to execute and not only just bring it to life, but do it in an award-winning way?
Yeah, well, just like our brand, we're a delightfully democratic brand. Our brand belongs to the world. The sun does not set on Crocs. And so I know our leadership espouses a democratic way of leadership as well. When I was the CMO, one of the best ideas in Crocs history came from a young employee. She came into my office and said, I have an idea. And that idea changed Crocs. And Devin brought this idea to Carly Gomez. We're changing Crocs again, responding in real time to great ideas. There's no monopoly of great ideas. They can come from anywhere. And so I think we're really good listeners to our teammates and our consumers, culture.
And I think the best types of ideas are ones that are truly authentic. This was not a concept that was contrived. It was something that was naturally happening in the real world. Yeah. And you're just reflecting it and shining light on it and letting people understand that this is the type of story that our brand gets behind.
No question. I mean, how many times in your life have you heard something, you said, oh, that's a movie. That should be a movie. That happens. Well, we did it.
Right.
So if you can think it, you can do it.
So when you talk about the brand and you talk about it being for a certain type of consumer, that makes sense to me. But at the same time, the consumer's changing and culture's changing. And obviously we live in a very scary world right now. And it's impacting people in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
How dynamic does the brand need to be to continue to evolve its story to make sure that it doesn't fall out of favor, moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, we belong to the world, as I said earlier. So we don't have a specific target consumer because everyone is wearing us. As we like to say, we're the shoe that you wear to meet royalty and the pizza delivery guy.
Right.
And that's a pretty wide spectrum. We're also really fortunate that we now have 2 generations that are Crocs native. Gen Z and Gen Alpha.
Yeah.
We were likely one of, if not their first pair of shoes. And they remember it. They remember where they got their first pair of Crocs. They remember the color. They often remember the store. They remember mom or dad or a loved one taking them to buy their first pair of Crocs. They remember the gibbets. And when that happens, it's part of your bloodstream. You always love your first.
Right.
And so we now have 2 generations. And I think we like to say that we're not birthing, but new cohorts are being birthed into the Crocs family every single day because in a year or so,
great growth strategy.
We will be their first pair of shoes.
Right.
And it's a good growth strategy.
So when you talk about TikTok Shop,
yeah,
as and you talk about your stores, what are some of the trends you're seeing at retail in terms of the way that people are finding and buying the product?
Well, certainly personalization. As I said earlier, there's no other brand that can do this. When you see somebody come into our store and they make a beeline to our gibbets shop and, they scoop up a handful and it's like a treasure hunt.
Sure.
And they're looking for ways to express themselves. This is the perfect gibbet.
Right.
This is the one I either was looking for or I didn't know I wanted. And this is going to complete my pair or just express myself. So that's for sure. We have some of the greatest associates in the world who are also now becoming a little bit a part of the creator economy where our associates who are just so passionate about our brand, our footwear, and our consumer, they're now telling the story outward to their social media followers as well. And so we're seeing a return of youth culture a little bit to the mall. We're seeing youth culture return to even movie theaters.
Two things everyone said would be dead post-COVID, right?
Yeah, you're right. And I think, it's almost like a digital detox for this, native generation of they were born online. They're looking for ways to get offline.
Of course, they connect with each other.
Yeah, and they're doing that in places that, we might have done in the 80s in New Jersey.
Right.
The mall and
everything old is new again.
It might be. And so we're running one of our brand anthem spots in movie theaters this summer, just to connect with that audience. Certainly youth culture drives culture. And we spend most of our time talking to that youth female consumer who loves our brand and loves us by herself and also loves them as part of her squad. That, the girls volleyball team, they travel in white Crocs and, so it's a wonderful opportunity for us to tell multiple stories.
Yeah. And the treasure hunt component that you talk about in retail, I would imagine is also a big part of your online strategy. So like when you're selling in a TikTok environment or even online, are you trying to integrate or replicate those physical experiences with the digital experiences?
Yeah, it's different because it's far more tactile, right? So
right.
The experience you have buying Jibbitz in our store is just a different experience.
So do you find a different amount of people that adopt Jibbitz when they're buying online?
Oh, yes, for sure. Because the treasure hunt of this is a wonderful thing that, again, only few brands can do and none better than us. Our TikTok shop strategy has really been designed to get in touch with her as often as possible. We have our own month, as you probably know, and your listeners do, called Croctober.
Yeah.
Real original stuff. But we live streamed 24 hours, 7 days a week last Croctober. And what we found is there's very interesting times that consumers are on TikTok. And it's often after midnight. And so she's shopping after midnight.
Right.
So now what do we do about that? Our stores are closed, obviously, but she's scrolling on TikTok and there we are at 2 a.m. and I got to have that. So
that's how QVC always was as well, right? It broadcasts at odd hours.
It is. And the good news for us, it's just us. So QVC has an assortment of lots of great things. We just have incredible different Croc stories to tell. And then we're expanding that where myself as the chief brand officer, I pop on from time to time to live stream. We've had special guests like Macaulay Culkin or Jackson Dart, the quarterback of the New York Giants, at this possible conference. We might be having a surprise because I might live stream tomorrow. So
by the time people hear this, they'll know that.
Yeah, they'll have read about it.
Right.
So we're always looking to innovate, whether it's Reel Shorts, whether it's TikTok Shop. Our in real life experience is also part of that barbell of just getting both sides to experience our brand.
It's interesting because when I hear about the Jibbitz, what immediately comes to mind for me is just the notion of the boom we're seeing right now of collectibles. Right. And I think we're seeing this it is sort of nostalgic. People want to find, and have you guys thought about limited edition, special edition, Easter eggs and Jibbitz, like hard to get Willy Wonka type experiences?
Yeah. So, when I was the CMO years back, we started this limited edition concept. We signed Post Malone and Justin Bieber. I signed Bad Bunny in 2019.
Wow.
Before, people were talking.
Way ahead of his super time. Yeah.
And so those became almost accidentally limited edition.
Right.
Because we can only make so many. And they were gone in 6
And they're probably still being sold on eBay.
Yeah. I mean, my Kentucky Fried Chicken idea that I had years ago, we made Kentucky Fried Chicken Crocs, and the brilliant product team actually made the Jibbitz chicken drumsticks that smelled like KFC, an intoxicating aroma. And I think those are still on StockX for like $250. And so the collectibles business is something that we are looking really hard at. We may or may not have a surprise coming in 2026 this summer, and other ways to just extend the brand beyond just footwear, but footwear adjacent, Jibbitz, or other things that we've got in the works that we might surprise folks this Croctober. Rather than streaming 24/7, we might introduce something new to the world this Croctober.
It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, you think about the collectibles boom. I think one thing behind it, I saw a stat the other day that 40% of Gen Z workers had a side hustle, right? And I think there's so much uncertainty, a lot of which is AI driven, which we can get into how you're implementing AI in your business. But I think people are hedging, so to speak, and they're creating these side hustles. And one of those is collectibles. And I think that might be an underlying economic driver. Also is just so much more accessible. And you have platforms like Whatnot, which I'm sure you're familiar with. It's a huge streaming platform. So I think all of that's kind of bringing consumers and gravitating them towards this overall genre.
Yeah, I'm always amazed by the entrepreneurial spirit of youth culture.
100%.
Side hustle and third hustles, they're looking at ways to, I think it's also just rooted in fun, largely. There's a challenge to it all that this generation seems to love. And they're fast, they're technology experts, and so they can do things in just clicks away to make things occur. And keep in mind, as I mentioned before, we're global. So, our popularity in Korea is different than our popularity in the United States. It's equally passionate, but different consumers, different needs, different choices that we make. And we have to serve a real global population through our choices.
Are there some markets where Crocs is booming in that might surprise people?
Oh, well, Korea, for one, we are an amazingly popular brand in Asia. We just opened I was in the United Kingdom last month to open our first full price store in just outside of London. So, the world has grown up with Crocs, as I said. And there was a bifurcation at some point years ago. The generation that first was introduced to Crocs, who thought we were ugly, right? And kind of the butt of the joke, they now know that we're part of the cultural firmament, but then their kids or grandkids or whoever it is wear their first shoe, as I said earlier. So there's just an organic love for this brand. And we've long overcome any of those challenger, winning ugly, memes that used to be out there about our brand.
Yeah. I mean, there's something behind what you're saying, which is about having confidence and not worrying about what other people think and doing what feels right to you, which I think in this day and age of people growing up and comparing themselves against everyone's highlight reels on Instagram is kind of nice. Like, I'd want my kids to wear Crocs if they love the brand and not worry, even though it's different. Yeah. That's what you want, because different wins in this world.
That's life.
Yeah.
I mean, difference is celebrated, and people want what is new. People want what's exciting, and we continue to do that. And authentic. We have always been ourselves. And we've also invited the world for many, many years to just come as you are. Like, that's Crocs. Just come as you are.
Yeah.
And I see that every day. We're recording this in Miami, and I walked and ran the beach walk this morning, and I saw 14 pairs of Crocs this morning, on all different people. And it just makes me smile every time I see it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So the other brand that I'd mentioned at the onset was Stanley. And to me, Stanley, unlike Crocs, which I've known about for a long time, kind of just shot into the cultural lexicon so quickly. How did that happen? Talk to us about the Stanley brand and where you see it going.
Yeah, on that same beach walk this morning, I saw 14 pairs of Crocs and I saw 9 Stanleys.
Yeah.
And so I get the privilege of seeing my career history.
Different people too, right?
Sometimes both.
Right.
Yeah. That's my daily double when I see some incredible person wearing Crocs and holding a Stanley.
Right.
I love that
You're
person.
Like, we've done our job.
Yeah, it's a really cool moment for me that I'm just blessed to have had in my life. Yeah, Stanley was a wonderful experience for me. Changed the company very, very quickly by making some choices. Similar to Crocs, when I was the CMO of Crocs, if you ever watched the show Seinfeld, back in the day, right? George Costanza, that goofy character, said, "I will do the opposite," right? And I think that's been a bit of my mantra, personally and professionally. I'll just do the opposite. If everybody's going one way, maybe we should go the other.
Zig when they're zagging.
Exactly that. And so with Crocs, it was a little bit of, we were this gardening shoe. We were, those holes are where your dignity leaks out, right? That was the meme. But when Post Malone was spotted wearing Crocs, we should sign Post Malone.
Right.
And
he's not being paid to wear them. He's wearing them because he likes them.
Correct. And his fans knew that. And so that was a bit of a turning point. And in 2017, 16, I don't remember the year, to bring this artist, who's got facial ink long before that was du jour, as the face of your brand in a way, is a scary thought, folks. But that's the opposite. And it paid off handsomely. When I joined Stanley, I told the team, I was the president of Stanley. I joined in April of 2020, if you can imagine that. A terrible time to do anything new in the beginnings of a pandemic. I told the team we were going to go from male, green, and hot. Stanley was a brand for guys. campers, outdoorsmen.
Yeah.
We were green, hammer tone green thermos for your hot coffee, water, soup. Male, green and hot, to female, colorful and cold. And that's the opposite. What I recognized at the time is Yeti, who's an incredible brand.
Yeah.
They were talking to guys and doing it with just excellence.
Yeah. This tailgating, barbecuing, camping.
Whole thing.
Yeah.
And who's talking to her? Hydro Flask seemed to be had its moment. And so recognizing the tea leaves, recognizing wellness, COVID had just started. I let the team know that we were going to do that. And we were going to introduce new colors to the brand. And away we went. And then I had a moment as a leader. You do a listening tour, or at least I did. And I asked the team, what should we stop, start, and continue? And I talked to Lauren Solomon, one of our brilliant salespeople at the time. She was going on maternity leave the next day. You talk about fate. If I didn't catch Laura on this Friday afternoon, Stanley might have not have happened.
Really?
Yeah. She told me, I said, hey, Lauren, lovely to meet you. What should we stop, start, and continue? And she said, well, Terence, there's these 3 women in Utah who have a blog, and they love our 40-ounce adventure quencher tumbler. I was like, what is that?
Right.
And she put a photo in the chat. And she said, I got to go. I'm having a baby.
Right.
And I talked to the team. I said, we should give these women a piece of the action. And we did. And it literally changed a brand where you cannot go on anywhere on planet Earth and people know what Stanley is. And the Buy Guide was their name, is their name. And they changed our company. And then the choices that we made with that tail.
Just because they loved the product so much, they were talking about it, evangelizing it. And
yeah, to their several million
it's like it's the Post Malone version.
It's that. I learned that at Crocs.
Right.
And so you just, reapply. People say that Terence, like I'm talking to myself, like I'm in the third person.
Right.
But
happens a lot.
That he has a playbook or something. I learned that at Crocs.
Yeah.
And I saw the exact same opportunity for Stanley. And so we gave them a piece of the action and they evangelized it. So they were making money and they suggested some colors because they had a real fashion sense and we made colors, which I knew we should do anyway. And then I brought collaborations to Stanley. I had done Post and Luke and Bieber and Bad Bunny and on and on. So, well, why aren't we doing that for bottles?
Right.
And the team looked at me funny, like, well, you don't do that for bottles. Oh, why not?
Right.
And we dropped a Lainey Wilson bottle, the Watermelon Moonshine, that took over TikTok and sold out in seconds. And away we went and do more of that. And then there was the what is now an infamous car fire video that this young woman, Danielle, posted on TikTok that her car caught on fire and that her Stanley was in the cup holder. And after a car fire, there was still ice in it. Pretty good product testament. I saw that on TikTok on a Wednesday afternoon, evening, just scrolling through TikTok, watching a ball game. I was like, what is this? Wait, what? Texted the team, is this real? It was real. And I went and responded the next morning on TikTok and I told her, I'm going to buy you a new car.
It's amazing.
And that, that went viral around the world where I was getting stopped in airports. And it was a testament to a good brand doing the right thing. I looked good as the president because I was just leading with,
right.
What would I have done if I was the president? Well, I am the president. I'll buy her a new car. And so we did that and people are still writing about it every day, but it really cemented the brand's legacy of product integrity, as I started this with. If your Stanley can survive a car fire with ice in it, it's going to keep my drink cold.
Yeah. It's a good performance indicator.
Yeah. So, so it was a really great 4 or 5 years for me. And we took it from, $70 million to nearly $1 billion in 4 years.
Wow.
But more importantly than that, Stanley is a proprietary eponym. Xerox.
Yeah.
Kleenex.
It's become a
Q-tip.
Right, yeah.
Stanley. And that is a gift. When I look, I said, walking down the beach walk, and I see people carrying Stanley, but it's more than that. When people don't even know, sometimes I hear people say, hey, where's my Stanley? I'm like,
right.
Oh my gosh, do you know?
That's the ultimate, that's the ultimate unlock for any brand marketer is to achieve that status.
It is absolute. Like if there's a brand nirvana, I hit it.
I mean, arguably Crocs is the same thing. right? Like it's a category where there are things that look like them, but people will still call them Crocs.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And so it's been, Crocs had a relevance opportunity.
Right.
We were the butt of the joke in a way, and we're no longer the butt of the joke. Stanley had an awareness opportunity.
Sure.
People kind of knew it. Maybe, my grandfather had a green one, or my mom was a teacher. My grandmother was a teacher, and she used to bring her Stanley to work.
Well involvement category. It was one that people just didn't really think of. They didn't think of the brand behind it. They just got one. And you turned it into a high involvement category.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Using the things that I learned at Crocs, and, your careers hopefully are building blocks.
Sure.
You fail up, you fail sideways, you fail down, and you scale what works, and you take what you've learned. And hopefully the most important part is leadership. And you give people the gift of trust and time. The same gift that I've been given from my leaders over my career. They gave me the gift of trust and time. And I like to think I did that with both of my teams that I've been fortunate to lead at both of these brands or all these brands. And, the people that you work with turn it into what it is. I threw a couple of ideas out there, made some decisions, but I'm nowhere without the real gift of my teammates.
Yeah. One of my takeaways already from this conversation is we spend a good deal of time talking about the consumer.
Yeah.
And you seem to really know the consumer. And I think when I talk to other marketers, the consumer is almost an afterthought. They're talking about their product and positioning and competitive landscape, et cetera. But ultimately, if you really truly know your consumer and what makes them tick, you can build a product and a story that is going to impact them and make them take action.
There's no question about it.
Right.
So at Stanley, I'd known enough about Love Shack Fancy, an incredible brand.
Yep. No, well.
And so I wrote Stacy at Love Shack saying, hey, would you do a Love Shack Stanley? And, she's got that eyeball. Like she's her consumer, and she knew that her consumer would love it. And they did. And then we just did a Love Shack Fancy Crocs. I mean, how lucky am I to be able to work with Love Shack Fancy twice for two different brands and have them sell out and be beloved.
What a great collaboration.
Oh, and so, my career's been filled with those kind of things and just incredible product imagination folks that think of incredible things. And then we've got marketers that know how to connect it all. But I do have a bit of an eyeball to see around some corners, and I've been able to predict a couple of things that turns out were real winning bets.
Yep, clearly.
So I have some hits.
Yeah.
It's a really cool thing, and I'm very fortunate to say that.
Absolutely. So shifting gears, we wrap up here. We have a lot of younger listeners here on the podcast, and for their sake, would love to hear from you. If you were starting your career now, what were knowing what you know now?
Sure.
What are some of the areas that you'd lean into and really focus on to put themselves in the CMO seat one day?
Yeah, well, remember that you're always auditioning, and most of the time you don't know your audition is happening. You never know who you're talking to.
So true.
And so if somebody loves the cut of your jib, as they used to say, right? Wow, she's sharp. He's on the ball. You never know who that person is that you're talking to, so always be on the ball. If somebody senior to you says, so what do you want to do? Never say, I don't know.
Right.
Because if you don't know, I can't help you. And at this stage of my career, folks like me want to help.
Yeah.
Because that's what now it's about.
Like, help me help you.
Yeah, because
right.
I've reached a level of success that my success now is helping others. But if you say, I don't know, then I really can't help you. But if you say, well, really, I'd like to be this by the time I'm 40, but my first step, I'm hoping to become a marketing coordinator in your company or whatever. My mind starts to go to, who can I help? Who can I call?
Yeah.
How can I help this person? Who's in my Rolodex
100%.
To say, oh, you got to give Lisa a call. But if you say, I don't know, you're not ready for your audition.
That's awesome. I love that advice. I mean, what comes to mind for me is if you're a younger employee and a leader is running a town hall, ask a question. And what I believe what's more important than getting the answer is just showing them that you know the right question to ask. Yeah. That's a form of auditioning.
It is. And that's who the leaders remember. If you're invisible, you're invisible.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean you're a bad person. Doesn't mean that introverts can't win, but make your presence known. Share an idea. If Toria Roth had not walked into my office, I can still see her sheepishly knocking on my office door when I was the CMO of Crocs and said, hey, T, you got a minute? I said, yeah. She goes, I think I have your next Michael Jackson moment. Because Michael Jackson, the Michael Jackson, was actually formative in my career as a young 22-year-old. And I had just told our new employees that story. And Toria, listening, knocked on my door a little bit like, T, you got a minute? Yes. I think I have your next Michael Jackson moment. I said, oh, what is that? And she held up her phone and showed me a photo of Post Malone wearing Crocs. And the rest is history.
Right. Well, I think the rest is history looking in the rearview mirror, but there are so many steps, as you know, to go from the point you're shown that photo on a phone to bringing it to life. Right. And a lot of it is perseverance and having agency and not being afraid to act and take risks and all these things that so many people in the back, you would look back and say, I should have acted when I saw that.
Right.
But didn't. But
right.
You did.
But that's my job, right?
Right.
So Tori had the idea, and there's light bulbs. The light bulb goes off and said, okay, this is authenticity.
Yeah.
He's not getting paid to wear these. And so that changed it. And I do recall speaking to the other senior leaders and perhaps even the board of directors about Post Malone. And I remember saying this, and I meant it. Like, it wasn't hyperbole or some sales pitch. It was, if this works, this will be the next Milk mustache. Everyone will want to create Crocs. And I was right.
Yeah.
Thanks to Toria, thanks to Post, thanks to Kerry Macker at Universal Music, who also saw that opportunity,
right.
who helped Post Malone manage his career. So, and then Bieber and Luke Combs and Bad Bunny and on and on and on. I've lost track of how many incredible collaborations we've done. And now we continue to do that with excellence. But now as we enter our 25th year at Crocs, it's really about broader storytelling. And that's the next era that we're starting now.
Awesome. Well, I cannot wait to see what's next for you and the brand. We always ask our guests to wrap up if there's a saying or a mantra that helps encapsulate their professional journey. I have a feeling that you have many. What comes to mind?
Yeah, I think I should quote some Springsteen as a guy from New Jersey.
I just saw Springsteen last week. It was amazing.
Yeah,
Still got it.
Yeah, where in Sunrise?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that I have a mantra. I really don't roll that way.
We'll just leave it with Born to Run.
We'll leave it as Born to Run, yes.
Awesome.
Someday, girl, I don't know when, we're going to get to that place we really want to go, and we'll walk in the sun. But till then, tramps like us, baby, we were born to run.
Couldn't think of a better mantra than that. We're going to leave with that. Thank you so much for joining, and congrats on your success. And
thank you.
Can't wait to see what's next.
Thank you, sir.
On behalf of Suzy and the Adweek team, thanks again to the great Terence Reilly, Chief Brand Officer at Crocs, for joining us today. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the Speed of Culture podcast on your favorite podcast platform. From South Beach to the possible comfort, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. The Speed of Culture is brought to you by Suzy as part of the Adweek Podcast Network and A-Guest Creator Network. You can listen and subscribe to all Adweek's podcasts by visiting adweek.com/podcasts. To find out more about Suzy, head to Suzy.com. And make sure to search for The Speed of Culture in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Click follow so you don't miss out on any future episodes. On behalf of the team here at Suzy, thanks for listening.